Advance. Console quality gaming anywhere.
Hey everyone, Ben here from Pixel Portable. I hope you're well. Back in 1999, I saved up for the first thing I'd ever saved up for in my life, and that was a Game Boy Color. Now, this Game Boy Color I bought in the peak of Pokemania, which was a crazy time, and I bought it because I wanted to play Pokemon, like all my friends were doing, so I bought Pokemon Red, and it was one of the fondest times of my life. I guess it's just before like adult responsibilities and things kicked in, but yeah, very, very good time. Wild time. Very crazy now that I think back to it. I then wouldn't save up to buy anything else until 2001, some 3 years later. In June 2001, I received my purple Game Boy Advance. I played various games on it while avidly awaiting for the next Pokemon game. We were then at this point playing Pokemon Silver, which was, and still is, one of my favorites of all time.
You've mastered Red, Blue, and Yellow, and now you're ready for the next step. Discover the world of Johto and live great new adventures with Pokemon Gold and Silver. Tons of new Pokemon, new challenges, new badges to collect. Have you got what it takes? Pokemon Gold and Silver for Game Boy. Gotta catch 'em all!
Yeah, I didn't realize that Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire wouldn't release until 2003, a whole 2 years later, and one new generation of console ahead, the Game Boy Advance SP, which I still treasure today. So this left my Game Boy Advance in a bit of a weird space. I used it a lot to play Pokemon Silver and Advance Wars, but didn't use it too much because back then when I first got it, a lot of the Game Boy Advance games that I would now end up really loving hadn't actually been released. So it just kind of sat on my shelf gathering dust. So 2003 came along and I upgraded straight away to the Game Boy Advance SP. Why wouldn't I? It was a better design. It was a clamshell design. The screen was protected. It had a backlit screen and it had its own rechargeable battery inside. It was just a better handheld, so I obviously made the jump to the SP. But like I say, this put my Game Boy Advance in a kind of limbo, you know? The screen was inferior, to put it politely, so it just sat on my shelf gathering dust and not being played. I decided it was time to give my Game Boy Advance a second chance, because the Game Boy Advance form factor is actually very pleasing. It's very nice to hold, and I just felt like this device has been sat dormant for 20-something years. The modding scene has come a long, long way just in the last few years alone. So I decided to drag the unloved, dusty corpse of my old Game Boy Advance straight into the future and give it some sweet upgrades and put it back in place as the best way for me to play Game Boy Advance games. So, what did I do? Well, I created the world's first, and probably only, Pixel Portable dark-themed Game Boy Advance. Right, let's talk about the features. So for the cosmetics, I went for a matte black shell and buttons, and I wanted the only thing to pop out on this design to be the Pixel Portable logo. Now, as you know, the Pixel Portable logo is a D-pad that is shifted 45 degrees. Boop. That's the Pixel Portable logo, and it's in this, well, the camera's not picking it up very well, but this is not red. This is a magenta, sort of a pinkish red. And that is the logo for the YouTube, and I wanted that to be the thing that really popped on this device, so it was quite clearly Pixel Portable. So the way I did that was I got a D-pad, well, I bought a button set, but I wanted specifically just a D-pad from the incredibly talented LABFITTEEN. Links will be in the description. And they make custom buttons in the UK, and they had exactly what I wanted. A magenta button that's super, like if I just grab this, like I don't think my camera's gonna pick it up. No, it's not. But But these buttons are beautiful. They are beautiful buttons. And then I got a black lanyard because I do play these a lot while I'm outside and doing other things. I don't want to drop it, especially after making it look so nice. So I got a black lanyard so I can have it around my wrist. And then when I'm playing, if something happens, I'm on a bus or a train or I'm on the underground and it moves, and I'm not going to drop the device. It's just going to hang. Or if someone tries to steal it from me, at least they'll have to pull my very angry arm with it. So we've got the matte black shell, we've got the matte black buttons, we've got the flagship Pixel Portable logo D-pad. What else do we have? Well, we have the lanyard, as I've mentioned, but there's also something pretty cool under the hood. And that is a dense 1800 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery USB-C chargeable. And the coolest thing about this mod is that it just slots into the battery slot. You just have to take the metal terminals out from one side and it just slots in. So this is a reversible mod. I can take this out and I could put AA batteries in again if I really wanted to, but I honestly wouldn't want to do that. And the reason why I did this was because having a USB-C chargeable Game Boy Advance puts it in the same realm as my phone. So my phone here, if I want to charge it, I have to use a USB-C. So I'm always carrying a USB-C cable with me as well as my power bank when I'm doing any kind of, long time excursion. And that means I can use the same power to charge my Game Boy Advance, which is super handy. Less cables, less everything. I mean, this isn't the correct one, but, I don't have to carry around an official charger. I, in fact, can just plug in a USB cable in any USB outlet with USB-C and pop straight in, power, fantastic. It also means that I don't have to do what I was doing beforehand, which is I have got rechargeable AA batteries, and they're great. They're actually a higher capacity than this 1800 milliamp hour battery. In fact, the two combined batteries is 200 milliamp hours more. But whenever they run out, they need to be charged. They need a charging unit, and that charging unit needs to go into a wall, etc. So I either have to carry lots of spare batteries with me that are fully charged, or, and this has happened to me before, I've used them, put them into like a side storage, used the other ones, and when they've run out, I'm like, oh, I'll put the other ones in. Oh, I forgot to charge them. Now I have no power. Now I have nothing. Whereas this just saves the batteries, it saves the charger. It's just a cable, just a USB cable. It's all I need. Everything I need to use to charge my phone, I can charge my Game Boy Advance. So super convenient. Now, back in the day, the closest you could do to these two options was to get the official Game Boy battery unit and the charger, which is the 𝙋𝙓𝙀𝙍𝙬. This battery was only 1200 milliamp hours, so it was even less than what we have here, but that was the only official way you could kind of have the convenience of rechargeable batteries not on the go, but a rechargeable battery. Having a nice shell is great, and having the convenient power is obviously fantastic. But what about the screen? Because we talked about the screen. The screen is terrible. Well, we're in the future now, and these LCD screens with no lighting in or around are easily replaceable. I put in the IPS 3.0 drop-in touchscreen with 14 levels of brightness. It has color grading, it has anti-flickering that is on par with the Analog Pocket. Oh, and it has some really nice artificial scan lining that normally I don't go for, but it looks really good on the Game Boy Advance. So I've got that on as well. And now I have the ultimate viewing experience. 14 levels of brightness. I don't even have to mess around with it. I can just touch the screen, tap, 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 brightness, whatever I want. I can change the color modules if I've got Game Boy games in. I can change it so that it's not just all white and black. I can make it look like it's green and black like the original. I can make it have the different color modes that you could cycle through on the Game Boy Color. It's really cool. And also really easy to do. But you do need a custom shell from that, and you get that from the same place that you buy the screen from Funny Playing. I definitely think it's a good, worthwhile mod. It's not cheap, but it's good value for money in my opinion. And it was a lot easier to modify and do than I thought it was going to be. You just have to be gentle with the ribbon cable because those things are kind of fiddly. You don't want to break anything. You don't want to break the ribbon cable. That would be not great. But other than that, it's a very easy mod to do. And it breathes life into a console that has not progressed with the times as well as others. Because, let's be honest, those LCD screens that didn't have lights in, they were lacking. You had to be outside in good sunlight or like crouched over at a weird angle, looking for good lighting. I mean, I remember, actually, with this Game Boy Color, trying to play it in the night one time. My parents were driving somewhere, and I sat in the back, and every time the street lights would go past, I'd be able to see the screen. But so it was like every second and a half, I'd see the screen. I was playing Pokemon, I was like, oh, I can move. All right, I can move. Okay, now I can move again. I can move again. All right, let's do this. And I suffered through that because this was pre phones being anything more than a Nokia 3310. So, yeah. You kids don't know how good you've got it now, I guess. I suppose you do know how good you got it because you've seen these and you're like, oh, why would anyone do that? If you've modded a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy Advance, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you did. Send me pictures. I would love to see the pictures. I don't know if you can put pictures in a YouTube post. I don't think you can. From this, whoops, to this. Oh, and the game in here right now is Konami Krazy Racers. And I'm actually going to link a really funny video in the description that I think you should check out, where some of my friends actually reviewed that game years ago, and I think it is a game that is a little bit slept on from the racing Mario Kart-esque genre. So yeah, check that out too. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!